Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Mother-in-Law Stories. Like usual, let's not waste any time in introductions and get started with the first story. My mother-in-law would always do all her evil things to me when nobody else was around. And when I'd tell my husband and he would confront her, she would deny the whole thing. He finally heard firsthand how evil she was when she called and left a message on our answering machine one time. And as she was hanging up, she was telling her mother in the background what a bee of a daughter-in-law she had. The recorder got the whole thing. Even then, when my husband called her and confronted her, she denied saying it. He yelled, "I have it on the recorder." He finally started to believe me. When we were dating, she asked me to go for a walk with her and proceeded to ask me what my intentions were with her son, as if it was any of her business. That should have been my first red flag. When I was pregnant with my son, she went over to our home when I was at a bridal shower and rearranged my whole nursery. I cried when I got home. I was so upset. My husband tried to tell me that he had done it, but finally admitted that it was his mother. The final straw, I could go on for days, happened after my son was born. She waited until I had to go back to work. I stayed home with him for 4 months and took the next week off from her job, saying she wanted to take my son for the week. Well, how could I say no? We tried to tell her that we had to pay the daycare anyway, so she couldn't have him, but she said she'd pay the daycare. Every day that I had to go pick him up from her house, I would get physically sick because I hated her so much. The third day I picked him up and I went straight over to my mom's house for dinner. My son was wearing a new outfit that I had bought him, cute red suspender pants and a football jersey underneath. I went to change his diapers and realized that the suspenders were gone. She had cut them off. She said they bothered her. That night, my husband and I decided that we were moving away, which we did a couple of months later. She never forgave my husband, and that was fine with me. After we had our second child, a girl, she never even acknowledged her. It was as if she hated her. My son was everything to her. One time we had to go back to the area to attend a wedding, and my parents couldn't babysit the kids, so we asked her to do it. My daughter had fallen asleep on the drive from home, so I carried her upstairs and put her in the playpen that mother-in-law had in the room. We left for the wedding and came back about 5 hours later. When we walked in, my mother-in-law was playing with my son in the family room. I asked where my daughter was and she said, "Upstairs, sleeping." I was stunned. She's still sleeping? She said that she had woken up and wouldn't stop crying, so she just put her back in the playpen upstairs. My daughter was up there for 5 hours. I cried so hard for her. I went up to get her, and there she was, huddled in the corner of the playpen with her little face all red and swollen from crying so hard. She could barely breathe. It makes me cry as I'm reliving it. Well, my husband and I didn't make it, not because of mother-in-law, and now the witch has nothing to do with my kids. I finally had written her a letter telling her how she treated me and made me feel. That was the end of that. My kids have no contact with her at all. I have to say, and I know it might sound bad, but I was hoping OP writing something about punching the mother-in-law in the face after leaving the baby girl in the playpen for 5 hours, crying. Or at least something about her husband saying something to his mother. That's cruel. Anyways, let's move on to the next story because this mother-in-law truly sucks. Well, about 13 years ago, I started dating my husband. We were going to the beach that day with some friends. I hadn't even met my husband's family at this point. Before heading to the beach, we stopped at the grocery store to pick up a few things. I remember it being 100 degrees out that day, and it was very hot. My girlfriend and I had our bikinis on with shorts over the bottoms. We were in this store and my husband, boyfriend at the time, ran into his mother. She asked him where he was off to and he told her, the beach. She turned around to find my girlfriend and I in the line checking out, and she said to my husband, "Well, take a look at those two hussies." My husband then told her that he was with us and they just laughed. When he told me the story, I was totally heartbroken, just thinking his mother would say something like that about me without even knowing me. When I did meet her, she played the role of a fun-loving, easygoing mother. She was actually nice to me. Well, 9 years passed before my husband and I decided to get married. In those years, the tension between his mother and me grew. My mother had passed from cancer about 5 years into my relationship with my husband, so I missed her dearly and wished I had her around to talk to. Seeking some sort of relationship with my mother-in-law was impossible. She wanted nothing to do with being a mother to me, not that I was looking for that, or maybe I was. She made it very clear to me by her actions that that was not going to happen. I was not a good cook, and that was one of her biggest complaints. I didn't take care of her son as far as providing huge meals every day of the week. I'm quite liberal and work for a living. I can't wait on him hand and foot, nor has he ever asked me to. After we married, she got worse. We had a baby, which she refused to even acknowledge. Her first granddaughter out of 5 others, and she never came to see her. Keep in mind that she only lives 10 minutes away, too close, to begin with. I decided to give dear old mother-in-law a birthday party at my house when I was on maternity leave. First off, she was 1.5 hours late for her own birthday party. Second, her daughter was also late 2 hours. I decided to grill hamburgers and hot dogs because that was easy and inexpensive. After just having a baby, I didn't want or need to do too much because I was very tired. Okay, mother-in-law and sister-in-law finally showed up. They both always think they need to take over, including all the cooking, because they don't think I can handle it. I decided I was not going to let them. After all, I was giving her a birthday party. Mother-in-law walked out on the back porch where my husband was grilling and proceeded to tell him, "I told you that you should have married someone who can cook." I heard her remarks through my kitchen window and was just devastated and angry. How dare she walk into my house invited and talk about me like that? My husband, of course, told me that I was overreacting. He said his mother was just kidding. Boy, I could go on and on about the horrible things she had said and done since this incident, but how healthy can this be? His entire family treats me like I'm an idiot, especially dear old mother-in-law and her daughter. Last Christmas, we all pitched in again to buy her another major appliance for her home. I'm always the first to say, let's set a limit of what we will spend because it is Christmas. I can't afford a whole lot. The in-laws take it upon themselves every year to buy the appliance before discussing it with anyone. Then, they just tell us what we owe. Last year, I put my foot down on that little routine, and I was given the cold shoulder during the entire Christmas Eve get-together. I hate getting together with them every holiday, because we pitch in and bring food. Every year they stick me with green bean casserole. They think that is the easiest and the only thing I can make. Besides, I make it and nobody eats it. It makes me angry because the food goes to waste and they hurt my feelings at the same time. Believe me when I say, the food I make is really good and there is nothing wrong with it. They think they can cook everything under the sun and it's the best ever, but they think I can't even handle making toast. I'm sorry for you, OP. Your in-laws definitely undermined you and that sucks. I would say that you don't need their toxicity, so just cut them loose, go no contact. Talk to your husband and hopefully he'll go to your side and support you. What do you guys think OP should do about this whole situation? Alright, and on that note, let's move on to the last story. This story is actually about my ex-mother-in-law. Anyone who is out there and engaged and having problems with their future mother-in-law, read this over twice. When I first met her, she asked me right off the bat when I was going to marry her son. I just thought she was a caring person. Boy, was I wrong. As I later figured out, she was one of the biggest control freaks ever to roam the earth. When she asked me what colors we were having at our wedding and what she should wear, I told her anything in pink, black, or white would be fine. She then went out and bought mint green dresses for her 2 daughters, 2 granddaughters, and herself. After we were married, she decided to tell me how to decorate our home because I wasn't smart enough to do it myself. Also, when she and her 2 daughters would gang up on me for an insult fest, it would always be when my then husband was not around. I would tell him about what was happening and he would say, "Well, I didn't see it," or "My mom would never do that." When I finally got him to believe me, he asked his mother about it. Her response was, "You're going to believe her over your own mother? I don't think so." So from that point on, in my ex's eyes, she did no wrong and I had to take everything that was dished out to me. But wait, it gets better. When I became pregnant, she had to come to the ultrasound to find out if it was a boy. She had 3 granddaughters at the time and wanted a boy badly. When she couldn't see, she was furious with me. Then, she told my ex that the nursery couldn't have an elephant theme and that it was being changed to a Noah's Ark and Precious Moments theme because she liked that better. And he did it. I had no say in it at all. Then, when my daughter was born, she told us exactly how we should raise her and that there was no room for discussion. Plus, when I was suffering from stage 3 postpartum depression, she told me to my face, and I quote, "You are a horrible mother, and if you can't handle having a baby, you had better make sure you don't have another." Did I mention that she was also a nurse? And if you think that's bad, one of her daughters was going to nursing school with a friend of mine and my ex's. Our friend told us that his sister was having an affair with a male student in the class. Well, about a week later, my ex told his mother about this, and somehow, I still can't figure out how, the affair was my fault. A month later, his sister kicked out her husband, and 2 days later, I am not kidding, a neighborhood pizza delivery guy that she was also having an affair with moved in. And yeah, my ex-mother-in-law said that that was my fault too. I was pregnant with my 2nd child at the time and was banned from any family functions on my ex's side. His mother would not allow me to be there, and since everyone else except me would do as she said, I was usually home alone for a lot of the holidays, especially Christmas. And when I went into the hospital to have my 2nd child, I told my OBGYN about what was going on. He then put me into the hospital under a full security listing, and anyone who wanted to see either the baby or me had to go through a full clearance with him. After that, I started socking money away to get away from both my ex and my mother-in-law. A year and a half later, I filed for divorce. Well, OP, congratulations on the divorce. There's not much more I can say about that because you got away from that toxic bunch. Your husband was a moron, always believing mommy, and she was a manipulative. I can't say that word. And the sister-in-law too. They both suck. What do you guys think? Alright, and we've reached the end of the video. If you liked it, go ahead and click like. If you still haven't subscribed, then go ahead and click subscribe. And of course, don't forget to visit the Lost Genre subreddit where you can cross-post stories for me to feature in videos or write your own if you feel comfortable with that. And having said all that, I will see you guys on the next video.